What's up, you guys? It's your boy back at it again. And for today's draft, we are going to put together a team that I thought always had potential, but anytime I see them or read them, I think of them, but nothing as a joke. And that's because for who they are and the type of villains they are, because it is a villain team, they should be a threat, especially against the person who they be fighting against. But because of how they handle themselves, or because of how simple minded they are, he always hands them their ass. And I am talking about the Sinister Six. I have always thought the Sinister Six had potential. Because look at the characters that Spider Man usually fights against, right? The Rhino, Dr. Octopus, Goblin, Venom, Carnage, Sandman. We are talking about people who are either tanks, geniuses, or should be Omega level threats. But because they're so simple minded and stupid in their actions, Spider Man always hands them their ass. And that's not to say Spider Man is weak or anything. Y'all know me. I've never really been a Spider Man Peter Parker fan. It's not until like recently that I've been gaining more love for him. But even though he's not weak, against the type of people he's dealing with, they should be a little bit more of a threat, I think. I mean, they give him a little bit of trouble, but I think they should be a lot more menacing for him. Especially since how Peter is always cracking jokes and shit, or he's this scrawny kid. Powers or no powers, Peter is scrawny. No matter what age you take him at, Peter is a scrawny, regular human with enhanced strength and stuff. Sure, but like if you're going to up against a tank like Rhino, or if you're going up an Omega level threat who can basically bury the city in sand or in water, or can shock the electricity through your body and shit, you should have a little bit more of a hard time defeating them, I think. So we are going to put together a team of the Sinister Six. I'm going to create my own Sinister Six today using Spider-Man villains in a way where I think they would be a little bit more menacing for him. And not menacing necessarily in as a little bit more evil, but in a way where I think that if he was to go up against these particular six, he would definitely have his ass handed to him. Have his ass handed to him, or he would definitely lose. Because to say that Spider-Man gets his ass handed to him by the Sinister Six, or that there's times where he loses, I don't really think that's a fair assessment. Because, like I said, he always bounces back. Most of them, they're easier to defeat. He's always cracking jokes or something. And sure, they give him a little bit more of a hard time. But I believe if you want to make a real hard-hitting team or a real hard-hitting story where Peter is like going through it like he's ready to really quit, no matter how many times he actually says he's about to quit, he never does. But if he really is forced to quit, or he really is about to quit, or he is really about to die, or he is really questioning his role as a hero or his role as a character, this is the team that we are going to put together for him. And the Sinister Six that he usually go against, Dr. Octopus and or Goblin, a Rhino, a Vulture, a Sandman, or a Craven. Like I said, it's okay, but let's think about it. I can't use Craven because I already used him in a video. Even though I probably should have saved them, but it's too late for that. Oh well, you live and you learn. Dr. Octopus, I put him on another team. I have plans for Norman Osborn. Rhino, I think I may have a plan for, may or may not. Electro, I always thought Electro was more of a threat, but every time I see Electro, he's nothing but a joke. I want to use Shocker, but he's tossed around as a joke too. And there's a lot of other villains within the Spider-Man mythos, or a lot of other characters within the Spider-Man mythos who could be used as villains that people rarely touch on. So I said, hey, why not put together my own team of the Sinister Six? And y'all know me. Y'all know I really don't like just stopping at, well, it's an even number, but an odd number for a fan drafting. But in this case, we're going to do it, and I think it's going to work fine. And the way we're going to do this, right? Like I said, each character, at least each hero, has one particular weakness. Most of them have the same weakness. Some of them don't, some of them do. But in the case of Peter Parker, in the case of Spider-Man, his one weakness is his heart. It's either his guilt, he is a character stricken by guilt, and he is a character who, if you attack his heart, like they said in the first movie, even though I can't stand the Tobey Maguire movies, first we attack his heart. If you attack his heart, you fuck him up completely. Spider-Man's main weakness is he will not sacrifice the ones he loves. That's why he's always trying to drive his girlfriends away. He's always doing what he can to protect Aunt May and everything. And I'm not saying that's a bad weakness, but that's a hard and serious weakness in the case of a superhero. If you can distract him mentally and emotionally, but Peter Parker, if you can distract him and put a lot of his mind mentally to the point where he's emotionally and spiritually distracted, then it's easier to defeat him physically. So we are going to make a team in which can do just that. We are going to make a team in which the Sinister Six can easily fuck him up by distracting him mentally or causing him great emotional pain. And through those two, they can easily defeat him physically. Because as it was said in the Percy Jackson series, every hero has a fatal flaw. And Peter Parker has the same fatal flaw that Percy Jackson and a lot of other heroes have. But it shines brightly, especially within Peter Parker. Peter Parker's fatal flaw is personal loyalty. He will sacrifice the world for the ones he cares about. So, that being said, let's get into recruiting. And the first person we are going to recruit is Mr. Negative. Now, I've never read a comic with Mr. Negative. And y'all know I'm not a Spider-Man fan for real. But when it comes to the power of telepathy or controlling others by taking away their free will, like with Purple Man or anything, I think those characters are very interesting because of what you can do with those powers or the philosophy behind them. The psychology in which your psychological welfare intrigues and infringes upon another. Plus, I am currently playing the Spider-Man PS4 game. That's right, I bought me a PS4, Ultra_Zars. Y'all can add me, y'all can play along with me, whatever y'all want to do. But for him to be in that game and for Mr. Negative's double multiple personality disorder and how he's really not one who wants to be a villain, but he's kind of in a forced predicament. Y'all know with my knowledge and interest within the psychological and philosophical subject areas, I think that's very interesting. But the first person on this team, I think it should be Mr. Negative because he's a character that I think you could do a lot with when it comes to this concept that we are taking today. Because if I understand the archetype of his character correctly, on a power aspect, imagine a scenario in which not only are you controlling Peter to do things that he does not want to do, which will in turn cause him to have a lot of guilt and cause him to mentally attack himself when he realizes what he has done. But imagine a scenario in which he also has to attack his friends and loved ones or attack innocents, or in which he does the wrong thing or uses his powers incorrectly, in which it isn't with great power comes great responsibility, but he infringes on that responsibility, which infringes on the belief and model that his greatest inspiration has taught him. Or imagine a scenario in which, people he values or people he loves and holds dearly are being controlled to do self harm upon themselves or to attack him, and he has to try to hold back. But the only way to save somebody is to let them harm him or to harm them personally. Imagine a scenario like that. Or just imagine a scenario in which, again, if I understand the archetype of Mr. Negative correctly, his identity that isn't Mr. Negative, I can't remember his name, but the one side of his identity that's a regular person or who wants to be a good guy, that's a friend or a mentor or some type of personal figure that Peter holds dearly within his Peter Parker life. And he has to try to not harm him, but also try to defeat him. He wants to help, but how does he help? How does he keep his identity safe, keep the enemy's identity safe, keep him from doing the wrong thing, keep him from getting hurt? It causes so much emotional and mental turmoil that I think there will be no other better fit for this team than to add Mr. Negative because of how much of a role he could play within this concept. Because not only could he play a mental and emotional attacking angle, but like I said, physically with his powers, he can be a power play as well. So the first person we are going to choose is Mr. Negative. Speaking of people who he is close to, but he doesn't want to put them out in the public as a bad guy. I know I said I wasn't going to use Norman Osborn as Green Goblin, but there is another Osborn that we could use, and I'm going to use Harry. Because, while a lot of people may say, what? No, they're best friends. Okay, so yeah, sure, we have seen that within many of the adaptations and depictions of Spider-Man across the different forms of media. But I was watching a short by Classic Man D on YouTube. Go check him out, right? Cool guy, cool bro. I hope I am able to work with him someday. His videos are funny as hell. But he did a video one day talking about the relationships within Peter's life. It was either the relationships within Peter's life, like his friends, or the villains he have. And he had a point where he was talking about Harry. And he said something that I never really thought of until he said it. No matter how many portrayals of Peter and Harry try to make it seem like they are best friends, there are more portrayals than not where we see Harry trying to ruin Peter's life, either trying to ruin his life or kill him. And I had to really think about it. I was like, that is a good point. There are a lot of portrayals in which no matter how many times they try to sell the idea that Peter and Harry are best friends, Harry is a person who really honestly thinks Peter is a piece of shit, or who really is a piece of shit to Peter because he hates on how much Peter has it. I don't want to say he hates on how much Peter has it, because Peter doesn't have much going for him outside of what Harry does. But I think that's what makes Peter Parker such a inspiring character to a lot of people, because he doesn't have anything. But look at what he's doing. And you have a character like Harry who has it all. And I think that's one of the flaws within Harry. Harry doesn't see that. Harry doesn't see how just because you have everything handed to you, that's why your dad doesn't respect you. But look at how far I've come up. That's why your dad treats me better. I don't want to say that's accurate, and I'm not saying even if it is accurate, it's the fair assessment. But anyway, it goes. Harry stays trying to narc on Peter, and I feel like if you were to take that resentment that is in a character like Harry Osborn and combine it with the gadget tech of, a goblin or the goblin formula in which you can have a character who is as strong, if not at least as close to as being strong as Peter is, as fast and agile and stuff, then that could make for a devastating enemy, especially one who knows who Peter is and knows how to hit those emotional points and weaker points within Peter, seeing how close they really are. He would know exactly how to enrage Peter or how to stop him in his tracks by saying the right trigger phrases and everything. So I think Harry Osborn will be the perfect fit to put on this team. And seeing on how Harry knows who everybody in Peter's life is, that will make him an emotional, physical, and mental threat within himself. So we're going to take Harry Osborn as the Goblin as our second character. All right, so far we have two of our six members down. And within our first two members, we have two people who Peter sees possibly as family, especially within one of those characters. And within those two, we have someone who is a philosophical type of archetype. And then we have the person who knows Peter deeply and can and probably will make him question if he's doing the right thing towards, for, and by the people he loves, in which he could see Harry as one of his biggest failures. And also, he can see Harry in another form, in which we will get into in a little while. But for our third villain, I think the third villain on this team should be Quentin Beck. And we all know who Quentin Beck is. Yes, sir. AKA Mysterio. Now, again, if you've seen anything like Spectacular Spider-Man or whatever, you would think Mysterio is a joke. But if you have read Guardian Devil, Daredevil, or if you have seen the MCU Spider-Man Far From Home movie, you would know just how much of a genius and menacing threat Mysterio can be. In which, through Mysterio's tech and illusion based tricks or whatever, Peter ends up questioning himself. He doesn't trust his own perception. He can't trust his spider sense. He doesn't trust his instincts. He's the type of villain in which we can definitely have Peter see things that aren't really there, in which he can seem like a threat towards the public or seem like he's lost his mind, or the things that who are attacking him may seem illusion based, but they're really actually there. So I think to add a psychological instinct based villain in which, Peter's spider sense and intuition is on the frisk, or he can't rely on them, in which he's, possibly facing the trials of being a threat to the public due to his sanity, is another great choice to be on the team. So, for our third villain, we are going to choose Mysterio. Because if you think about it, through Mysterio, we can also have Peter end up being in a place where he's isolated even further than he already is, humiliated, where the public doesn't trust him. Well, the public doesn't trust him now, but even the ones who already did trust him don't trust him either. Or where he's reliving some of the worst moments from his life, like certain deaths he's experienced, like the death of Gwen Stacy, which will definitely cause him to, freeze up in the battle, or to spiral, or the death of Uncle Ben, or see alternative futures and stuff. So, like I said, with him being so, with Mysterio being able to alter his senses, pretty much, it's a great threat. And like I said, if you've seen the Far From Home movie, or if you read Guardian Devil, you would know just how much of a sadistic person Mysterio can be. He may be the most sadistic person on his team, if not one of the most sadistic people that I am going to put up here. And even if you don't want to say that he's sadistic, you can definitely see how much of a genius he is. Like I said, when you're looking at Peter Parker's villains, you're going to run into your geniuses. It's just that they don't attack him in the way that would be the most effective, or they're worried about the wrong thing. But look at how effective this team is so far, and we've only recruited 3 members so far. We have somebody who can control the wills of others, which will make Peter succumb to either surrendering or sacrificing his own life. We have someone who is full of resentment and knows all of his friends and family's personal identities, so which he can attack them in that front, which will make Peter more of an at-risk factor. Or if you take it in the other sense, in which Harry can have the same type of powers more or less as Peter, it would be more of a physical challenge. And now look at what we got with Mysterio. You have someone who is basically altering your form of reality, your perception of reality. There is no way in hell, like I said, even if we stopped at just the 3 members we already received, that it should be an easy to win battle for Spider-Man. There's no way in hell. So, like I said, for the third person on this team, we are going to recruit Mysterio. All right, so for the next member I am drafting, this one is more of a physical type of threat for Peter, but it's also a personal choice for me because this is a character I really have a fondness for, but I don't see him as much as I would like to, and I really, really, really want him to be involved within the comics more, whether it be a comic book, a TV show, a movie, or whatever. And lucky for me, he is finally reappearing within Spider-Man Brand New Day, or whatever the movie's going to be called. And that is the character of Matt Gargan, aka the Scorpion. Scorpion has got to be one of the deadliest and the most brutal villains Spider-Man has in his rogues gallery, right? And when I'm talking about tanks, he's not a tank like Rhino. He's not a heavy hitter like Hammerhead or whatever. But like I said, he's brutal and he's deadly. And when it comes to physical opponents, like I said, Scorpion is probably one of the ones who I can always count on to really give Spider-Man a run for his money, or at least make him shut the fuck up. Like, Scorpion is always more than likely going to hand Peter his ass. And that's why I'm going to put him on this team. Because while Scorpion normally handles Peter quite well, just imagine how much more of a devastating blow it would be to have that deadly sadistic villain who is using his armor and the tail and stuff against you when you're already weak due to the drones of Mysterio attacking you because you couldn't see them or you couldn't trust your senses, or where you're not focused due to the emotional devastation you received through Mysterio or through the loss of Harry or through the manipulations of Mr. Negative, or how much more of a blow it would be, seeing that you already have some type of soreness in your body from dealing with Harry. So I'm going to put Scorpion up here. So for the fifth member, our fifth member is going to be another green themed colored individual. And he's another individual who is portrayed in most depictions as a genius. Well, at least one side of him is as a genius. He's another animal-based themed type of character that Peter usually faces. He's another person that Peter usually knows personally, and that is the character of Dr. Curtis Connor, aka the Lizard. Now, remember when I said that we was going to talk about another aspect that Harry could be within this team? He could be a representative of a thing that a lot of villains say in certain comics, where it's like everyone you get close to gets hurt or dies or ends up a tragedy or whatever. We can make that the case for Harry because you know of how Harry ended up being a goblin or ended up being hurt or lost his mom, or how his dad had died because of Peter, so he thinks in some versions. Well, we can definitely say the same thing about Curtis Connor. Even though a lot of people would say that Curtis Connor would have done the lizard thing way before he met Spider-Man anyway, even if he didn't know Peter, we could still make the claim that everyone we know, or everyone that you know Peter, ends up either getting hurt or ends up becoming a villain. What does that say about you? So we could really make it seem like a tragedy. We can really put it in Peter's mind that, am I really that much of a hero to begin with? Or is everyone better off without Spider-Man? So that's one reason we're going to put him up here. Because like I said, he knows the Lizard personally. And again, he wouldn't want to hurt him, especially knowing that he has a family and everything. But again, it's another guilt-ridden, conscience-based attack type of thing that Peter will have to deal with. Also, he will also be another physical threat, just like the Scorpion. Seeing that the Lizard has superhuman strength, agility, speed, and can regenerate and everything, that's just another physical attribute type of character that Peter can go against. And, you know, in some versions, he can't think properly because of the lizard transformations. I like the version of him within the Amazing Spider-Man movie because this picture this, right? Not only are you a lizard who I know personally and I gotta try to save, I don't wanna hurt, but what if you're turning people into the lizards and now more people who are innocent or more people that I know are being transformed and I gotta fight them as well? Plus, you're already hurting me because you're physically stronger than me. Anything that I do, you can regenerate. Or you gotta try to sort through the logic of a genius, which is another mental distraction. And if it's not the logic of genius, and it is just the logic of a lizard gone wild, you gotta try to tame him and everything. But again, at the risk of your own life, your own conscience, and your own sanity. So I think Lizard being up here is another good person for this concept. In a way in which, through the five members we have so far, we have someone who Peter genuinely wants to save within the Lizard. We have someone who he genuinely cares about and is close to within Harry. We have someone he genuinely respects within Mr. Negative, and then we have the two people who are always trying to take him out. So, like I said, you have your attacks that are causing you to hesitate, where every attack feels wrong, and now you're really questioning the purpose and the goodness of Spider-Man. So if you were to quit, most likely you really would quit instead of just blabbing about it and making fake outs. Or you will really be put in a position where you have to risk your life or risk everything you have to save the world. Like, you got the lizard transforming everybody into lizards or going after people to eat them. You have Harry and his resentment trying to kill you or just saying those small things to put you over the edge. Mysterio making you not even able to trust yourself. Mr. Negative, you know, turning everybody else even more corruptible than they already are. And then you got Scorpion who's just wailing on you. So like I said, I think this is a far better team already than the normal Sinister Six is. Like I said, the normal Sinister Six, like I said, with who they have on their team usually, it's not a bad team. It's just that they're going after the wrong things or they're attacking Peter in the wrong ways. Like, you shouldn't be worried about trying to attack Peter head on because when you're attacking him head on, then he's in survivor's mode. Then he's, while he's joking and everything, his spider senses is fully being aware. He's dodging, flipping, and everything. You should try to attack him head on, force for force. That's the wrong way to attack anybody. You need to hit them where their weak points are. And like I said, Peter's weak points are within his heart and his morality and his consciousness and mind. And then, like I said, if it's not that, they're always worried about this wrong thing. Like Sandman, he's worried about making the best score. Rhino, he's just too dense. Otto, he's great, but most of the time he's worried about proving how much of a superior scientist he is and everything like that. So right now, I think if you were to just focus on attacking Peter at his weak points, then you could really get some stuff done. And the people we have so far, they're not always worried about small-minded things like Sandman them. They're always worried about more philosophical games or bigger acquisitions. So, yeah. So, I think right now we're doing pretty good. And that means we have one more member to recruit. And our sixth member is going to be the brother of Craven, Dimitri. So, I never knew how to say Craven's name. Dimitri, aka the Chameleon. Now, I think Chameleon will be the final point on this team because it's one thing for Peter not to trust himself or not to trust his spider sense due to Mysterio. But what if he can't trust people either? Peter is a person who is very trusting, but what if you aren't able to trust the people around you due to an enemy always being able to take their form? Now you have people who you're wondering, are they really my allies? Or is this the person pretending to be my ally just to get into my head? Or you're being targeted by the police because he's impersonating you to attack the police, or he's impersonating you to do things such as mass murder, rapes, or whatever the case may be. It will be just like those scenarios in movies and TV where we see two of the same people within the same scene, and it's like, which one do I shoot? Which one do I arrest? It'll be one of those moments where now Peter's in a position where he might end up saving the wrong person, helping the wrong person. He's hesitating. And the more he hesitates, he's slower on his actions. He's making the wrong moves and he's questioning everything. And now, with him questioning everything, he questions again, should I just stop being Spider-Man? And with him being questioned or being hunted by the police and everything, It makes everything deadlier. It makes Scorpion and Lizard deadlier. It makes the manipulation of Mr. Negative stick better. It makes the illusions of Mysterio seem realer. And it makes Harry Osborn even more of a threat because now you really don't know if it really is Harry playing with your emotions or if it's the chameleon. And again, now you still have to deal with the physical injuries that they're giving to you. So I think Chameleon will be the perfect fit on this team. And like I said, throughout the six of them, you can definitely have it where Peter quits for good, no fake outs. He sacrifices his own life. He's driven to the point of going insane where he's put in a mental institute, or he may commit suicide, or where he is so emotionally and mentally distraught and distracted that when Lizard, Scorpion, and Harry attacks him physically, he can't fight back and he's done for. Or I suppose it could be like the last episode within the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show where he was forced to give up his powers. So, yeah. So, yeah, you guys, those are my six members. We have Mr. Negative as the leader. We have Harry Osborn as the second in command. Well, I don't know. I don't know who I want the leader is because I can see Chameleon as the leader too. I don't know. But you know, you have our Brute, who is the Scorpion. You have our Tragedy character, who is the Lizard. You have our Combat Specialist, well, Planner within Mysterio. So, yeah, guys, I think I did pretty good. But let me know what you guys think of my Sinister 16 and the concept of the Sinister Six that I was directing for this video. Who is your favorite Sinister Six members? Not in my video, well, yeah, in my video. And who's your favorite original Sinister Six members in general? And do you like Spider-Man's villains? Do you not? Why not? Um, do you agree with me? Or what? But until then, you guys know what it is. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Deuces.